study about the next allotropic form of carbon, that is graphite. Graphite is also a crystalline allotrope of carbon. Its atomic symbol is C, like diamond. The name graphite has been taken from the Greek word graphene, which means to draw or to write, in reference to its used as lead in lead pencils. So although we say lead, but it is not the metal lead which is used in pencils, it is actually the allotropic form of carbon, graphite. And because of its use in the form of pencil lead, we are able to draw, we are able to write with graphite, and so this particular allotropic form of carbon was named graphite on the basis of the word graphene taken from Greek language. And because of its use, because of the use of graphite in the form of pencil lead, there are some other names of graphite. Graphite is also called plumbago in reference to plumbum, which is the Latin name of lead. Initially, when graphite was discovered, it was thought to be a form of lead, and that is why the term pencil lead has been used, and it is still being used since so many years have passed, and we've come to know that it is not lead, it is graphite, but still it is being used as, the term is being used as pencil lead only. But initially it was thought to be a form of lead, and that is why it was named plumbago. It is also known as black lead. Again, lead because of its use, and black because it is a grayish black solid, that is why black lead. Coming on to the structure of graphite. We've already studied the structure of diamond, so keep that in mind and try to compare the structures of graphite and diamond. In a crystal of graphite, the carbon atoms are arranged in hexagonal pattern in the form of layers. So it has a layered structure. These hexagons are arranged in parallel planes, and we can represent it like this hexagon and another hexagon. There are a number of hexagons, many more. I've just drawn a few. Similarly, there will be another layer of hexagons. Right, and similarly more layers will be there. So it has hexagonal pattern, but they are in the form of different layers. And within a layer, if we talk about one particular layer, so in a layer of graphite, each carbon atom is strongly bonded to 3 other carbon atoms by covalent bonds. So each vertex of hexagon, let's consider this, or maybe this. So each vertex is carbon, and it is attached to 1, 2, 3 other carbon atom, right? Similarly in this, each vertex is carbon, and each carbon atom is attached to 3 other carbon atoms. All these bonds are covalent bonds. Within layer, all the bonds are covalent bonds. Now I'll just make a correction, and I hope now you can understand. We'll start the layer again. We can redraw it, maybe like this. Okay, so all the bonds are covalent bonds within layer, and 2 different layers are joined by weak van der Waals forces. So the force of attraction between the layers is weak van der Waals forces of attraction. So there are 2 types of forces present in graphite. One, within a layer, they are covalent bonds, they are strong bonds. The other one is in between the layers, they are weak forces called van der Waals forces of attraction. And if we compare the structure with diamond, diamond has all covalent bonds in which each carbon atom is attached to 4 other carbon atoms. Here each carbon atom is being attached to 3 other carbon atoms. So one valence electron of each carbon atom is free in every layer of graphite crystal. and the distance between two layers, this distance is about 3.35 angstrom. And within a layer, if we see the distance between two carbon atoms, this bond length is about 1.42 angstrom. So this is the structure of graphite. We'll now see some properties of graphite. The properties can be related to the structure. Properties of graphite. Let's start with the physical state of graphite. Graphite is also solid, and that too a crystalline solid. So it is a crystalline solid. Unlike diamond, it is opaque, it is not transparent, and it is grayish black in color. Then it is a good conductor of heat and electricity. We can easily quote the reason for its conductivity, electrical conductivity, because one valence electron of each carbon atom is free, as one carbon atom is attached to only 3 other carbon atoms. If you talk about the hardness of graphite, so it is not hard, in fact it is soft, and on Mohs scale it is kept in a range of 1 to 2. It has a soapy touch, it is soft. Its softness or its soapy nature, its soapy touch can be very well understood by the fact that different layers of graphite are held together by weak van der Waals forces. So we can very easily understand the softness of graphite by the fact that as soon as we apply a slight stress on the pencil lead, a black mark comes on paper. That is because when stress is applied, the weak van der Waals forces are overcome, they are broken, and the layers slip over each other. So when we apply stress on the pencil lead, keeping it on the paper, the layers, the bond, they break and layers slip and come over the paper, leaving a black mark on paper, and we are able to write with graphite. Then the density of graphite. Density of graphite is about 2.26 gram per centimeter cube at 20 degrees Celsius. Talking about its chemical properties, then graphite is also not attacked by acid, alkali, water or alcohol. So like diamond, it is also not a very reactive form, and but we can compare the shining property. Graphite shines. It is lustrous. Diamond has high refractive index, due to which it sparkles. It is not the property of diamond to shine. So we cannot say that diamond is lustrous. But graphite has a property to shine, it is lustrous. Right? So this is the basic difference between, although we misunderstand the concept of luster, and when we are asked about some non-metals which are lustrous, the very first answer that we come out with is diamond. But diamond is not lustrous, it is only, it has high refractive index. And ये बहुत easily हम समझ सकते हैं कि अगर हम diamond nature से लेते हैं, mine out करते हैं, तो वो shine नहीं करता, वो बिल्कुल भी शाइनी नेचर का नहीं होता. इट इज कि हम जब उसको कट करते हैं डिफरेंट सरफेस पर, कहते हैं ना डायमंड को जितना तराशो वो उतना चमकता है, तो ये तराशना जो होता है दैट इज कटिंग द डायमंड एट डिफरेंट सरफेसेस एंगल्स, और फिर वो उस वजह से जो है लाइट को रिफ्लेक्ट करता है और वो शाइन करना शुरू होता है. इट इज नॉट द प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ डायमंड टू शाइन. देन ग्रेफाइट हैज हाई मेल्टिंग पॉइंट. Even diamond has high melting point, and graphite is also a melting point of about somewhere around 3500 or 3700 degree Celsius. Coming on to the uses of graphite. Graphite is the very first use. It is used in the form of pencil lead. I have already mentioned the reason for that. It is used as electrode because it is a good conductor of electricity. It is used as dry lubricant because it is soft and slippery in nature. That is why it can be used for those parts of machines where grease and oil cannot be used. So it is a dry lubricant. It is used to make crucibles. Crucibles are basically the containers or the vessels which are used to melt other substances, especially substances which have high melting points, like metals. We've already studied metals and non-metals, और हम ये जानते हैं कि metals का melting point high होता है. अगर आपको किसी मेटल को यूज करना है, डेफिनेटली उसे मेल्ट करना पड़ेगा. और मेटल को मेल्ट करने के लिए अगर आप कोई ग्लास का या कोई प्लास्टिक का कंटेनर ले रहे हैं जिनका मेल्टिंग पॉइंट मेटल से ज्यादा नहीं है, तो बिफोर द मेटल विल मेल्ट ये कंटेनर्स मेल्ट हो चुके होंगे, इसलिए हम इनके कंटेनर्स में मेटल को मेल्ट नहीं कर सकते. तो किसका कंटेनर यूज करें? ऐसे किसी सब्सटेंस का कंटेनर यूज करें जिसका मेल्टिंग पॉइंट मेटल्स की कंपेरेबल हो या उससे हाई हो. तो इसलिए हम ग्रेफाइट को यूज कर सकते हैं बिकॉज इट हैज हाई मेल्टिंग पॉइंट. तो ग्रेफाइट के वेसल्स बना सकते हैं एंड which can be used as crucibles to melt metals. Then use of graphite is it can be used as a moderator in nuclear reactors. And what are moderators? बेसिकली न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर में हम चेन रिएक्शन कैरी आउट करते हैं, फिजन रिएक्शन कैरी आउट करते हैं अंडर कंट्रोल्ड कंडीशंस, राइट. सो इन ऑर्डर टू कंट्रोल द न्यूक्लियर रिएक्शन, द फिजन रिएक्शन, वी नीड टू डू टू थिंग्स, राइट. एक तो हमें जो न्यूट्रॉन्स प्रोड्यूस हो रहे होते हैं उनका अमाउंट कंट्रोल करना होता है, दैट इज डन थ्रू कंट्रोल रॉड्स. और एक हमें न्यूट्रॉन्स की स्पीड को कम करना होता है so that they collide effectively, and slowing down the speed of neutrons is the work of moderator. Although moderators सिर्फ ग्रेफाइट को नहीं यूज करते हैं, हम अदर सब्सटेंसेस को भी यूज करते हैं, जैसे वाटर यूज होता है. both light and heavy water are used as moderators, but in a number of reactors even graphite is used as moderator. Then apart from these uses, some other uses of graphite can be: graphite is used in making steel. It is used in making foundries, and foundries are basically places, or they are the factories that produce metal castings. They are used to make refractories. So these are some uses of graphite. और foundries में जब हम use करते हैं graphite को, तो वो basically demolding के लिए होता है. जब हम मेटल कास्ट बनाते हैं तो जो भी मोल्ड होता है उसको हम ग्रीस करते हैं विद ग्रेफाइट, बिकॉज ग्रेफाइट इज स्लिपरी इन नेचर, इट इज सॉफ्ट इन नेचर. जो मेटल आर्टिकल होता है उसको डीमोल्ड करना बहुत इजी हो जाता है, इसलिए हम ग्रेफाइट को यहाँ पर यूज करते हैं. सो दीज वर द एलोट्रोपिक फॉर्म्स ऑफ कार्बन, वेरी ओल्ड और वी कैन से वेल नोन एलोट्रोपिक फॉर्म्स ऑफ कार्बन. The most recently prepared allotropic form of carbon is fullerene. So the third allotropic form of carbon is fullerene. Fullerenes were formed for the first time by Gerald Grotto, Richard Smalley, and Robert Curl. And they formed fullerene by the action of laser beam on a sample of graphite in the vapor state. So graphite was converted into vapor state and then it turned into fullerene. And obviously ये जो discovery थी, I should not call it a discovery basically, ये जो preparation थी ये बहुत important थी हमारी chemistry में, इसलिए these people were awarded Nobel Prize for this in 1996. And later on fullerenes were prepared by heating graphite by an electric arc in the presence of an inert gas such as helium or argon. तो बहुत इजीली ग्रेफाइट से फुलरीन को बना सकते हैं. कैसे बना सकते हैं? ग्रेफाइट, it is heated by electric arc in an inert atmosphere of helium or neon. It turns into vapors, it gets vaporized, and then we can condense the vapors, so we get fullerene. Basically we get a sooty deposition which contains fullerenes. So it contains fullerenes, basically C60 and C70. These are the most common forms of fullerene which are extracted in the form of soot. Then from soot we can separate these fullerenes. They are dissolved in toluene, which is an organic solvent. They are soluble in toluene, and then we can separate even the fullerenes like C60 and C70 from each other by the technique chromatography. So we can easily separate C60 and C70 by chromatography. So in this way we can get fullerenes, we can prepare fullerenes from graphite.